What's up, everybody? It's the Inhuman one here, and today, welcome to part 2 of the ultimate 100% guide for the Lies of P Overture DLC. We're going to be taking on the greenhouse and the puppeteer herself, Markiona, and in order to do that, we're going to be changing up our equipment just a bit to make sure it's optimized for this area. So what I want you to do is kind of open the inventory along with me, and we're going to be changing out our Salamander Dagger for the Electric Coil. This is an excellent weapon, one of my favorites. And just double check and make sure you have the acidic crystal spear for later. We'll be using this during the boss fight. It's got a very simple moveset. We'll be going over it later as well. And it's just a nice little thing that's going to help increase the damage and make the fight much easier. But for now, we want the electric coil. And we also want to take a look at our amulets. For now, all of these things are quite good. We can change out the carcass butcher's amulet for the one that helps us deal damage against the puppets, which is the puppet destroyer's amulet. So we can go ahead and pick this up for now, equip it, and that'll allow us to do more damage against puppets. Aside from that, we're pretty good. I mean, if you have anything in particular that you'd like to do in terms of your defense, you can certainly swap those out. Any enhanced defense is always going to be better, so anything you can equip along the way. A lot of these enemies are going to deal kind of like electric kind of damage, so anything like the shot cartridges and things like that would be fantastic. So you can always, consider changing this to whatever your capacity can handle. And always like the highest grade of defensive gear is the best. So we're going to go ahead and begin. This will be an area that we're going to be jumping into next after we clear the greenhouse. So just keep this in mind for later. This stargazer is kind of going to be our checkpoint and point of return and all of that, our little hub, if you will. We're going to circle around here and grab the attribute purification ampule, and then we're going to work our way up to this staircase and to the entrance here. As we open the door, Markiona is going to talk some trash. Don't mind her, we'll be doing just fine. I also want to make sure that you have the puppet string Legion arm equipped. That's just my go-to arm, one of the best for breaking poise and all of that. Alright, now that she's done talking trash, we can proceed. We're going to go ahead and use the puppet string immediately, use a charged R2 and R1s along the way. She does have a 3-hit combo she loves to do. If she raises her leg in a defensive manner, you can just use a charged R2 to kind of break that defense. So that's number 1. This is enemy number 2 in this area, so we're going to be taking her out as well. You can use this right here just as a sneak attack. And then as she's getting up, do the charged R2, R1 to finish her off. Again, we're going to make light work of these enemies. If you make a left here, this is actually going to be a shortcut that we'll be opening in a little bit as we deal with our little Bane friend there in the back, punching a dead gorilla to death. We've got lots of enemies here, but we want to pull them aside because we don't want to get ambushed. We don't want line of sight to, well, we don't want to actually have our line of sight be in the line of the enemies that are up here, so got mixed up there. But long story short, don't expose yourself too much. That's what I'm trying to say. It's late. I'm doing this recording really late. You don't want to go out too far here either because there is a gunman off in the distance, but as you approach, she will break out from behind the boxes and crates there. We can pull her in, back up if we need to, pull her in again, and we get some charged R2s. Alright. No worries, we're gonna heal. One more hit will take her out. You can obviously skillfully do that, or you can just close the distance with the puppet string and take him out. He's not too much of a threat. He's just more of an annoyance while you're trying to handle these forsaken arch puppets here. But anyway, she was actually tucked away in this corner. She had a little drop kick. And that would have been something where we're rushing to try and take out the gunner, but she then sneaks up behind us. So we don't want to fall prey to that trap. Instead, we're going to be smart and take this very nice and slow. Be mindful of your weapon's durability as well. We've got some tough encounters up ahead, so if you're not comfortable, you can always change this out. We do have a tough enemy up ahead, but you could change to the Salamander Dagger if you like. There's only 2 enemies that are humanoid up ahead. We've got one that's not facing us, and this one here that will aggro if we go toward that item when we open, or actually enter that area, that open area there. So just be mindful of that, and of course, play it how you want. But I don't really like to change weapons for one single enemy. So instead, we're going to go in with kind of a heavy attack here. Our charged Fable Art anyways. And then we can just take him out. He's not worth really going through and changing our loadout for, right? So.
Get a look at this impressive handiwork.
So this is kind of the first bit of evidence that the legendary Stalker has appeared here. There's two pathways you can take. You can go up or we can go down. We are going to go down. We're going to rush to this side really quickly. Get the drop on this enemy here. These are all projectile kind of variants, so they are a little bit weaker. They're like the ranged variants of those enemies. Can use this for cover. Whoever wants to come closer is going to be our target. So we're going to maybe pull them in if we can. There you go. Duck behind this corner. Pull them in again. That's okay. Pull them in. Charged R2. And take them out. There you go. Pull them in. Charged R2. Well, that was not a charge, but that works anyways. They are ranged variants, so as you know, in most games, ranged enemies are going to be a little bit less tanky. The key is we just want to take them out quickly, though. So here we do have a bit of a tougher enemy. I like to go ahead and, if you're not confident in your perfect guards, go ahead and we can grab this while he's coming out. Use our perfect... Oh, okay, lovely. Our perfect grindstone there. There you go. He's not too happy about that, is he? If he wanted to, he gave us ample time to change to the Salamander Dagger, but it's not necessary by any means. Just keep going. He is pretty well equipped for ranged battle as well, so in the event that you try to retreat, don't stay there for too long. You do want to stay up close and personal because he has a lot of ways to not only close the gap, but also he has ranged abilities. This ancient disc that we just picked up is going to be an item that we can use to exchange with an NPC as kind of like a currency. So you can use it later on with a certain NPC so that we can actually purchase things like quartz and some cosmetics. So that's all you can get there. Now we're in good shape. The rest of these enemies are going to be humanoid, so it's not a bad thing to go ahead and switch over to our Salamander Dagger, or if you have the capacity for it, you can always have both of these equipped at any point in time. Some of the other items that we have, though, and that we're going to obtain in the DLC are quite heavy, so just don't get married to having both of them at once unless you want to go in for some capacity and invest some points there. You can definitely do that. Terrible display there, but that's okay. Ideally, you want to get behind those guys, but... Alright. Now for him, we're going to use the puppet string, so as soon as he comes around the corner, use the fully charged puppet string attack. As he gets up, we'll go ahead and do a charged R2 and then an R1 spam. That's how you kind of want to take that on, but you don't want to start off with the puppet string fully charged attack on this enemy here that we killed first, because he will typically knock you out of the air, so instead just circle behind him. He just caught me off guard. He did good. He gets a raise. Alright, so now if you notice, we're next to the Bane wannabe, which is right over here. We're going to open up this shortcut, and what we're going to do is we're going to go back and tag the Stargazer. You don't have to. If you're confident in your ability to defeat him, you can certainly go and take him on. And there's no problem with that at all. But we're going to go ahead and top off. All we'll have is 2 arch puppets to face off with. So that's not really a big concern. And it's just a good way to kind of warm up before that fight. That fight will be a little more difficult. And we can make sure that we have our grindstone uses maxed out. So we'll be in good shape. But remember, this is not a race or anything like that. It's just a nice walkthrough to make sure that you know when you're able to activate shortcuts, make use of the shortcuts, use things that are going to make just the gameplay and the experience itself more enjoyable, and you're not just worried about, oh my gosh, I need to get to that next Stargazer or anything like that. So When she's doing that, just a charged R2 usually turns her around. If you're patient, unlike I am, you can then stop attacking and go in for a fatal attack, but I lack the patience to do that. Do the same there if she gets up, honestly, and you could finish her off with that. But those are the only two enemies we have to face off with before that little encounter. Now we can switch our weapon. We have nice, fully charged Fable. The next thing we want to invest in is maxing out our Fable bar, so we're going to be picking up a lot of quartz, so. Alright, so we've got the big Bane kind of wannabe here. What we want to do is activate our grindstone when we're up close. It doesn't last very long, so got to be careful with it. Anytime we can get behind him and get a charged R2 is going to be great. He's no fun today. No fun at all. Get behind him. Again, really you do want to attack these canisters if you're able to. Nice uppercut. I'll give him that one. And just the R2 charge with the R1 spam is fantastic. It is going to actually stun them more often than not, so just be confident in that, and if not, try and get your perfect guards. If you're in a tough spot, use your perfect grindstone to go ahead and take him out. But anyways, we have another lore bit here. We definitely want to make sure that we're reading the lore. All of the new documents and collectibles are going to be important to read because sometimes they have other things inside of them, or they have other clues, or there's just more you can kind of discover along the way. So we're going to go up here. We have a little bit of platforming, dude. I'm teasing. It's not really too much, but you can make a right to progress forward, or you make a left here to go and grab these goodies. I typically like to go for the one that's furthest ahead, so always tackle the most difficult thing first. That's not too bad. If you do fall down, you're right back down where you fought the Bane guy, so we can just come up here, grab these two items, and then we're going to cross this bridge and make our way back over to the main side. There's going to be a lot of arch puppets here in a very narrow area, so remember that using a charged R2 will be ideal in a situation like this, or you can use your puppet string fully charged to kind of soften them up. As they're getting up, you can do a charged R2 and an R1 to finish them off. If they don't have, they have a lot more health than that right there and they raise their leg like that, just do a charged R2 and you can break their poise. If you're fast enough here, you could actually have gotten a nice little backstab or fatal attack off there, but no worries. You can do the charged R2 and an R1. Dead. Now here you got a bit of a, you can use throwing cells or anything here to kind of get the aggro, but you do want to go ahead and pull this enemy in if you're able to, because there will be a little friend that she calls. If not, so charged R2, R1, R1. Watch for the running kick here, because she'll often come in from a distance, so you gotta be really careful her. It's unfortunate we missed that perfect guard there on the second attack, but that's okay. That's a good example to what the stun looks like. So no worries. Just kind of annoying as an enemy there. She's got excellent defense, so. We get a grindstone coating capsule. This is actually something that restores special grindstone uses. So let's say that right now you can see that we only have the one usage. If we were to use that item, we would gain one more usage, so we'd be up to 2. I really do like it because even if you have your 2, which is maxed out, you can use it again to get more usage. So for example, if I am maxed out at 2 grindstone uses, I could use it in one of those items and get 3. It was really, really neat. So here we're going to go ahead and pull this enemy in before she can strike. Charged R2, R1, R1. And then for these enemies, they are humanoid enemies, but we're going to want to take them out with this. We don't want to necessarily switch weapons. We could. It just doesn't truly matter, even if you really want to. And then as they get up, you can switch to the salamander dagger or whatever. It doesn't really matter. If you're able to hold both weapons, then you can certainly switch. If you're not, don't worry about it. So we do the same thing with these guys, going in with the charged puppet string attack. As they start getting up, charged R2 and then R1, R1. And we'll just circle around, grab the goodies on the other side of these crates. And now we have more Fable Catalyst. Now up here, there is a bit of a, more of a challenging area, I would say. So you definitely want to make sure that you have your electric blitz coil weapon equipped. And if you have sufficient Fable, great. We should have pretty much full Fable by now if you've been following along and killing all the enemies. We're going to use it immediately by going up this ladder and then initializing that attack. And you can see here, if you use the shadows, there's an enemy up above, right? There's also going to be an enemy on this side that's ranged, and then another melee combatant right there on that side. So we're going to go up here, and it's just so neat. You can see these little tricks of light. Like, these are actually very helpful hints. I always say to look up, and I mean that because more often than not, it's going to save your life. So here we're going to do our Fable attack and completely bomb it. That's fine. That's hilarious. Alright. Unfortunately, she did get the drop on us. Quite annoying, but it happens. And it's fine that things like that happen on playthroughs even like this, in my opinion, because otherwise you would be like, well, that didn't work for me, or they're playing easy for the Inhuman one, but no, they're jerks for me too. But it's about maintaining your composure, really, more than anything, and trying to do the best to stay calm when in a bad situation like that. Charged R2 when they have that leg hiked up like that. And we can go ahead and use it. But yeah, I mean, I get, they foil my plans too. And the funny thing is, in my practice, in my off-stream practice, like that never happened, you know? So it's just really funny when things like that do happen when you're doing your recording. But that's good. I don't mind that at all. So this is Marchiona's kind of research center or area. She's doing all kinds of unsavory things here.
Everything I'm seeing makes me think this room belongs to a master puppeteer.
And Jiminy always saying the absolute obvious that he could say. Here we have a bird cage with a little red ribbon inside. You can investigate and see that someone dropped it. This will be important for later. As I've mentioned probably at exhaustion at this point, I do have a lore channel where I cover all of these types of videos and types of topics, theories, lore, etc. So you guys can always check it out, but I did cover a lot of different things in the DLC and the base game for now. It's almost like 2 years at this point, so definitely love if you guys could check it out. We're going to get an echo player, which is essentially a way to play these messages. Let's have a listen.
This is a message for Marchiona, my sadly not departed friend. Important matters brought me to your door. I am searching for my lost apprentice. And it should come as no surprise that I thought you or your other alchemist fiends had taken him. I hope you don't mind, but I made a mess of your lackeys as I passed through. If you do, consider it partial payment for what happened to my other apprentice. As soon as I am able, I shall return to collect your remaining debt. Until then, take care not to die. From Leia, Florence, Monad.
Okay, so we are definitely, absolutely, irrefutably in the past. Unbelievable. The Leia Florence. She's the one they call the legendary stalker. Story is, she went missing a long time ago, in Krot, as it happens, but here she is, still building the legend. And between Marchiona and Leia, I know who we're siding with. We still don't know why we're here, but maybe we're here to meet the legendary stalker.
Alright, so there goes Gemini. That will be one of the only maybe story sequences or echoes that we listen to. They do get quite lengthy, and I've heard that many of you guys just like to be able to experience that for yourself, and in the walkthrough just see mostly the gameplay and my tips for that. So we're going to be dropping down here, and this might seem familiar to you guys, but this is just the other side of where we climbed up and where we fought the Bane guy with the big, he was punching the gorilla to death. That's where we grabbed those 2 items earlier. So we're now on the other side of that, and what we're going to be doing is making our way towards the boss. But before we do, I do want to prepare you with a new weapon we're going to be using. So far, if you've been following the guide from the base game, we've been going with a sort of advanced focus. Advanced being like the elemental focus, if you will, so that way our weapons like the electric coil and the salamander dagger are doing optimal damage. What we're going to be doing next is we're going to be traveling back to the Hotel Krat, and the reason why I want to do this is because I'm going to go switch timelines, is because I want you to see the move set. We're going to be using the acidic spear, and that's because Markiona is a humanoid enemy. So remember, the puppets don't enjoy electricity too much. The carcasses don't like fire, and humans don't like acid. So as an advanced build, we definitely want to be using those advantages and exposing their weaknesses as much as possible. So like I mentioned earlier in the beginning of this stream, I said, hey, make sure that you have your acidic spear, which we would have picked up in the guide. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and upgrade this to the max. And that's why we've been saving our ergo. Sophia calls it ergo. And I didn't remember how it was pronounced because very few people say it in the DLC. So I was like, is it ergo or ergo? I forgot. And I didn't want to go back and watch my old videos. So we're going to bump this up. If you've been following along, this is also a new game file, fresh file, so you know that you should have all of these materials as well. We've got this maxed out to +10 now, which is great. Now we can return to the past, and we're going to be using the acidic spear as our primary weapon. So we go ahead and switch to the past, and we're going to go to Greenhouse Interior. That is the area right before the boss. Now keep in mind that there are certain boss fights where you can actually summon a specter, and you're more than welcome to do that. Don't let anybody make you believe otherwise. It is a mechanic that was included in the game for a reason, and there's no shame in using these kinds of mechanics ever, so don't ever feel bad about that. And in fact, it would be something that I would encourage you to do because it kind of helps with some of the aggro and just deals a little bit extra damage, so it's never a bad thing to have, honestly. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to be switching to the acidic crystal spear blade. This is a solid weapon. When you look at the actual moveset itself, it does have two different types of charges, one requiring 3, which is kind of like a big jab, and then the second one that is kind of a just applies acid damage even more. So charged R2, pretty much every attack is going to be either 1 thrust, or if you hold it, it's going to be 2 thrusts. That's the charged R2, for example. This is R1 spam. So they're all just very straight and forward thrusts. So really, really easy moveset, just like the salamander dagger and all the other weapons we've been using. So just get acquainted with it, get used to it. Another thing that I did want to mention is if you just walk into the training area in Hotel Krat, you can always max out your Fable before the fight, so that's always a nice little tip. But anyways, we're going to be watching this cutscene with Markiona, and immediately upon the end of the cutscene, you're going to notice that there's 2 enemies here. We have Markiona and we have her arch puppet. So the arch puppet will be attacking us all the while. You can defeat the arch puppet, but it will continue to be recharged, and it's never really defeated permanently, right? It'll always come back to life, it'll be resurrected, etc. So you want to target Markiona and prioritize her death before anything else, because the puppet is just going to be an annoyance you're going to have to get used to. So however many attempts it takes, don't worry about the arch puppet so much. Instead, focus on Markiona and dealing damage to her. So let's go ahead and enjoy the cutscene. And make sure you have the perfect grindstone, of course, so you can get some good parries in. She does have 2 phases in this boss fight, so you're going to want to have that if you need to. She usually starts off with a nice opener. It's pretty easy to read, so I'll do my best to explain and call out the different moves and the counters while I'm fighting. But as you know, it's a little bit challenging to do so I'll do my best. But Markiona is certainly a puppet master in her own right. That glove and that design seems familiar, doesn't it?
I was told that puppet had come to call on me. So who is this handsome guest standing before me? It matters not.
So here she's going to summon the arch puppet. It'll be connected to Markiona essentially the whole fight.
You belong to me now.
Opening strike here. Fight begins, you want to target Markiona, which is the human on the right. Get ready for a perfect guard there and then sprint away. Typically, she'll do a spinning maneuver like that. You want to spin out of the way and then dodge back in. Sprinting is usually enough, but she kind of did a little delay there, so it was a little tricky. She'll bring it back in. Red string means that the puppet's going to attack, so be prepared for that. 1, 2, and usually it's a third strike with a slam down. You can easily perfect guard like that. That's the finality of that strike there, that combo. Be mindful of the puppet. Usually has no more than 3 hit combos, so very nice. We're going for a big fatal there. Once she gets to half health, she will go into phase 2. I'm gonna dodge away and then run in. Dodge away. Use the audio cues, try and learn them as best you can. Use your perfect blitz as soon as she turns gold, and hold your block button. Each one will hit you for 2. It's the slam, and then of course the explosion afterwards, so just hold on tight. Use your puppet string to get in close again. And then we're just gonna keep spamming. It's a 3 hit, 4, and then now she'll start doing 5 hit combos. That's a grab attempt if she puts both hands up. Be mindful of the strike here. As soon as we can, use the perfect blitz again. We want to get it off when we can. There you go. She'll pull it in. There you go. We're going to go for a heal. Charged R2. R1, R1. Slam. That's alright. Going for a charged R2. R1. Charged R2 again. R1 spam like a crazy person. If she's up in the air, she can do these weird little slams that are quite annoying. That's just a perfect guard spam right there. She'll do it again. We're going to do a charged R2 to break. Charged R2 again. Special attack, and then R1 to finish her off. And Bob's your uncle.
It should have been the 2 of us, locked in a fight to the death.
And that's it, guys. Congratulations, you've beaten Markiona, the puppeteer, the macabre puppeteer. So we did get Markiona's key. This key is going to allow us to get entry into the carnival, which we're going to go next. The rest of this arena is actually just a dead end, so you can activate and repair the Stargazer. You can look around as much as you want, but there's really nothing here. Unfortunately, I was unable to find anything here. There isn't anything, just so you know. It just, you would think that there'd be something in this giant arena, but it is a dead end. So, Gemini, the Captain Obvious, of course, will mention that at great length. So we can go in, and we'll have an opportunity to speak with Gemini.
Hey, I bet it opens that gate we passed before entering the greenhouse. This place is definitely a dead end, and since Leia's not here, let's go back.
Alright, so now, if we want, you can go ahead and teleport. There's really no better way. And fortunately, you know, as in the base game, they do have these icons that indicate where you can use certain keys, where the, you know, progress can be made, side quest progress included. So we're going to be going to the greenhouse outdoor garden Stargazer, and from here I'm going to take you guys to the very first Stargazer that's in the carnival itself. So now we're back here, and this gate is going to be our destination here. We do want to have the electric coil stick. We're mostly going to be fighting just puppet enemies up ahead. So one thing that I did want to mention as well, in retrospect, obviously, is that you could always change out this amulet before any fight. That humanoid enemy, Markiana, would count as one. You can use the amulet that's designated or designed to inflict increased damage on humans, which is this one right here. So it's really just up to you. But I think the acid spear is more than enough. We'll be treated to another cutscene, which we can watch. I do like some of the cutscenes. They're pretty short anyways. But we won't be going through all of the dialogue. I know you guys like to see, kind of experience that for yourself, so I'll let you do that. But here we go. We're going to have another cutscene, and then we'll approach the entrance to the carnival.
Kill him.
Those humans? Just how evil does someone have to be to do something like this?
So that was the first glimpse of Leia Florence, the legendary stalker. There's a lot of imagery with roses and things like that. The bloody artist is the one responsible for doing all of these things. So we'll be eventually following Leia as she tracks this person down. And what we want to do is update our costume because it's one of the best costumes in the game. My personal favorite, actually now surpassing the Great Venini signature code. So this is the new outfit we're going to be wearing until we find something new. And wow, it's just a beautiful outfit in my opinion. It's so nice. But anyways, now that we're here, there are a few different things you can kind of do. You know, obviously just wow, right? That's incredible. The bloody artist definitely lives up to his name. There aren't any items around here, by the way, so don't be too concerned about any of that. Instead, what we want to do is make our way towards this little pathway over here. And we'll be coming up on the actual carnival entrance proper. So here, if you can see off in the distance, we're going to see one of the NPCs that is going to give us a quest line that spans the entire DLC. She's a precious little doll, and we're going to learn who she is in due time. Her name is Rosara. And so what we're going to do is rest at this Stargazer, make sure everything's all re-upped, and then we're going to go for a little bit more in the advanced. Our capacity is fine, honestly, at this point, so we can go more advanced, honestly. Crank up the any of the advanced. It's going to just crank up the damage we do for any of these weapons. And honestly, we have all of this too. We're more than welcome to use any of these things. Honestly, the new addition to use any held ergo is really nice. So we can just bump that up a little bit. We're going to get that up to 40 or 50 as high as we can go. Our capacity is ideal right now, so we don't really have to worry about it. We're nice and light, using only the one weapon at a time and preparing kind of in advance, so really no need to do that. But this is going to bring episode 2 to an end, and the next episode we'll be taking on the carnival and making our way through to see what's on the other side. And I hope you guys join me then. Thank you all so much for being the best part of my channel, and until next time, it's the Inhuman one signing out.